All right, we are live.
Yes.
Finally live. We had some tech issues that just kind of popped up.
Yeah. Not sure what happened.
Let's see if I can.
Not sure.
We wait for some people to come on here. We want to interact with you guys tonight at a JLI live show, our first one here on YouTube.
First on YouTube.
All right. I hope we have a good audio. We wait for some to come on here. Yo, come on. Come on,
very interesting.
Married and single people, come on here.
Married and single. So as we wait,
yep,
we had a very long, probably 2 weeks, I would say, but it's been very productive. I had the pleasure and the honor to be a part. We both had the pleasure and honor to be a part of a play.
Yeah.
Pretty called Azusa Street.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely amazing. The presence of God was so powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, the miracles that took place on Azusa Street was one that most people have never heard of before, and we're waiting for that same revival, if not that same revival, or for another move of God to, sweep this nation.
Yes.
And I know that it all begins with prayer. It all begins with
absolutely,
really bombarding heaven.
Yep.
And being hungry.
Yep.
For God's presence.
Yeah.
So
it was a great stage play. We are good friends here in the city of Detroit. Joe and Marlena Fielder.
Yes.
They did a phenomenal job in
phenomenal
scripting the Azusa Street play, and so it's crazy how the timing of that was just all in order.
Yes.
And how the Lord allowed that to the actors and actresses to learn the script and to really be used in God working in their lives, working miracles in their lives while we're even rehearsals and doing the whole process of it. So it was just awesome. But listen, our today's topic that we're dealing with, the subject matter is, do you or will you take your wedding vows seriously? In a world where divorce is very rampant.
Yes.
In fact, unfortunately, I believe that the stat for divorces, even in the church, is even higher than those who are in the secular world, and that is not a good testament at all. There are various reasons why many may divorce, that they may divorce and they have their own reasons. All right.
Yes.
But I'm grateful that through even the tough times, the good times and the bad, I am Jay, and matter of fact, let me introduce myself to the YouTube family.
Yes.
I am Jay, and this is my wife, La, and we are Jay and La, and we are glad to be on YouTube.
Yes.
Speaking to all of you that are listening, whether it be live or by way of replay, if we can use that. If you're viewing this, we say welcome to the Jay and La show, if you will. And certainly welcome into our lives. We are very transparent. Transparency is key for us.
Yes.
And we hope that in the near future that you would join us every Monday night at 8 p.m. live here on YouTube. And so I've been married to this beautiful lady for 23 years. 23 years. Our wedding day was June 10th, 1995, and we are in love, in love. Yes. But now, I will say, to be in love, it takes learning, not only loving from the initial meet, but also falling deeper in love as you continue to gain knowledge of who your mate really is.
Yes.
Yeah, I could say this, and knowing your mate takes longer than the engagement, and I believe even the wedding day.
Mm-hmm.
And so, eventually knowing your mate or getting to know, it takes longer than a day, takes longer than a week, takes longer than months, and it takes longer than a few years. It's an ongoing process. Ongoing process.
Yes.
But on the wedding day, you stand before the preacher or before the judge, or for those who have the credentials to join you together in matrimony.
Yes.
In this case, holy matrimony, not only between the man and the woman, but also between the man and woman and God. And we hear vows such as this: I, whatever your name is, take thee as my lawful wedded husband or wife, to have and to hold from this for they or for rich or for poor, in sickness and in health, to honor, cherish, and obey. What's the other one? What's the other part? Forsaking all others. Forsaking all others.
In sickness and in health.
In sickness and in health. Yeah, there's sickness and health. And to death do us part. That is the gist of the vows that is in general what most couples use. And for us, my wife and I, we are not ashamed to say we are Christians. Yeah. We believe in what the Word of God says of marriage and the purpose of marriage, and that a man and woman to come together, and that the man should leave and cleave to his wife. And so this is what we believe. This is the order that God has set for marriage. Yeah. And but as we continue, if we be honest with ourselves, if we're viewing at all society, if we're not under a rock, if we're not in just completely off the grid, we realize that there's a high level of divorce rate going on.
Yes.
In my opinion, if you look at Hollywood seems to be you hear a lot of stories about certain ones getting together, and people get excited about this star hooking up with this star, or the gossip pages, and the National Enquirer, and what is that, the Star, and these other ones that have all of the juicy news about this one getting together, and no sooner than you get the announcement seemingly that they have been married or they are married, it seems like almost in the same breath there's another article coming out of their impending or divorce.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, and so you go through all of this following people, and you seem to have poor examples of what marriage is supposed to be. It's some people, they say, well, I'll give them 6 months, and some people seemingly, particularly in the area of Hollywood, and I'm sure maybe not just in Hollywood, sometimes it seems like they can't even last 6 weeks or 6 days.
Yeah.
And then they have all of these clauses on, if you do this, and then I'm going to divorce you, and blase, please. But my wife never had to, never will. If you do this, I'm going to divorce you, blah, blah, blase, please. We've been married for 23 years, and I'm not going to do all the talking. But we've been through the good and the bad. We know each other's flaws. We know each other's weaknesses. Yeah. But the love that we have for each other, it totally conquers all of it. And when you are married to the one that God has given you, you actually learn more about love than you initially knew.
Mm-hmm.
If you understand what I'm saying, you continue to learn more about love, and it almost, and in cases, in my case, it has, brought me to tears to experience love than more than just saying I love you, but to experience it in a relationship and to understand, despite of my frailties or her frailties, we indeed love each other. And that's the key. So, but the topic is, do you or will you do you take your vows seriously? Sickness and health. To honor or to what's the word? I take the blah 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 to be my lawful with it, to have and to hold from this day forth in sickness and in health. People are literally as soon as the spouse gets sick. Can you love when your spouse is ill?
Yeah, and I just want to add here,
please.
Marital vows are really serious.
Yeah.
They're not to be taken lightly. When we go into a marriage, we know that everything is not going to be peaches and cream.
Certainly not.
All the time. You're going to have disagreements. You're going to have some bad days. You're gonna go through some things.
Yeah.
That's all a part of life. But when you marry for the right reason, when you marry because you do love that individual, and you take your marital vows serious, no matter what the struggles may be that you may encounter in your marriage, you are committed to that person, and you're committed to each other, and you're willing to make things work. Like my husband have said, we've been married for 23. It'll be 23 years this year. And I think that is so amazing.
Yeah,
because we got married fairly young, and we got married fairly young, and we didn't know what we were doing.
No, I mean,
not really. I didn't know what I was doing.
I mean, I knew what I wanted, but to know what you're doing, you have no experience. You've been single all this time, so you don't really know. But you need to take a leap of faith, because love will make you do that.
Yes,
love will make you take the leap. So, we didn't know, but we were merely kids. I would still say, 23 years ago, minus 23, our age now, and we were pretty young, right?
We were pretty young. We were in our early 20s.
Really early.
I mean, so in your early 20s, most young people now are really not thinking about marriage now. They're more career minded or career.
That's true.
They got more so their career on their minds, and then they'll think about marriage maybe in their later 30s, mid 30s or something like that, which is all good, because you don't want to do something before you're ready.
Yeah, well perhaps even in the late 20s, I think they need to be thinking about it.
Yeah, probably in late 20s.
Because they want to make sure, the kids and that thing.
Yeah, so more established.
The average person, and not meaning cutting you off, but the average, college student, probably 4 years, they're married at 20, they're graduating at 22. And then at the 22, it depends on whether they want to get their bachelor's or master's. The master's degree would probably get them somewhere between 24, 25. At that point, then they feel like, they've gotten, depending on what their degree is, they've gotten all that stuff out of the way. And now they're thinking about, okay, if their desire is to be married, and the children and all that kind of thing. And so usually somewhere around the mid 20s, late 20s, they start.
Early 30s.
Yeah. No later than that, late 20s, early 30s, they're thinking about, okay, it's time to settle down and whatever, still have a career, but still be able to handle the kiddos and the wife or the husband, whichever it may be. Yeah,
to be youthful enough to still grow a family.
Yeah.
But marriage is beautiful.
Certainly.
Marriage is beautiful. I wouldn't change anything, when it comes to our relationship with my husband. We've been married, like I said, it'll be 23 years. Everything that we've gone through, I wouldn't change it, because it has made me the woman that I am today. Those things that I went through in my marriage, those things that, we suffered through, we learned, we became more wise. And it caused us to even grow together, even closer, in our relationship. So,
that's a good point. Make it draw closer.
Yeah, it has drawn us closer. So now in our, I guess you could say, older age, even though we're not that old.
No, we're not old, period. No, we're not old. We're not old. No, we're not. No, seriously, we're not old.
No, we're not. I don't mind telling my age. I'm 46. And so,
and I'm almost 44. I'll be 44 on the 22nd of this month. Royalty is born in May. Hello, I'm a king. You heard me.
You know, so we're still, you know, we still have some youthfulness there. So our whole purpose of starting YouTube is to encourage, you know, those that may be considering marriage, or those that are married, and may need just a little help and might need just a little advice, you know, to help them through, you know, those different areas. And God has allowed us to have gone through many things, and so we wanted to, you know, be able to share our experiences. So those things that you just may come across, or those patches that you may run into, you know, you have somebody to say, hey, we've been there. You know, we can help you, you know, through those rough patches, or, you know, anything that you may be experiencing in your marriage, or before you get married, you know, about singleness and how to deal with certain things when it comes to being single, how to wait in your singleness and for that person, you know, that God has for you. Right. So, I'm sorry, go ahead. No, so this is, you know, the reason why we really wanted to do this. And I'm super excited about it. I am. Yeah, I am as well. I'm really, because you get a chance to communicate and, you know, talk to people and communicate with people you have never met before. And then you have some that you might know, you do know, you know, so I'm really excited about it. And we don't know how God is going to take it and what God wants to do, you know, with this, but, you know, we've made ourselves available to it. Absolutely. And I believe that you know, the experiences of our lives can be a blessing, not only to the single, but to the married who are still having a lot of questions. I still have a lot of questions. Finding their way. Right. I mean, 23 years of marriage, and we're still got questions. Yeah. How do we deal? You know, our questions may be a little different than the person who has just been married for 5 or 6 years. Yeah. But excuse me. Yet there are questions to be asked and answers that are sought after. And so, you know, with this broadcast, we're starting on YouTube. We've been on Facebook for a while, but we're on YouTube now. And our broadcast is mainly relationship based. So it's to help not only singles who are looking for soulmate, but also for the married who again have those questions and who may need answers. And now, let me give you a disclaimer: we are not the gurus, but we do have a lot of experience, and we will share with you what we have, the knowledge that we have obtained, and the wisdom that we have attained by way of experience. And so we take our wedding vows seriously, and listen, even when you're married, you're going to be challenged in every area. Yes. And for most of us are challenged in every area. Now, I know we are, but let's just use for richer and for poor. I mean, let's just go there. and you know, as for richer or poor, and it's funny how some weddings, I know all of you, we've been to weddings where if the priest or the pastor or the person, the judge, says for richer or poor, it's always a joke. Not always, but people say for richer. They have poor, they say for richer. But you know, it is a reality. Yeah, it's a reality. That some people all of us would much rather be rich and throughout the journey of our marriage. Yes. But the reality is that some of us are not that fortunate at the moment going into. Or there may be something that strikes your finances while you're doing well, then something you never know what may occur, and then your finances. I mean, I remember taking a major pay cut, you know, and during our marriage, and it happened abruptly. And so, you know, maybe in the back of your mind as a man, you know, hey, what is the wife going to say, you know, about this situation? Yeah. But for me, because I am because I am married to who I'm supposed to be married to. Yes. She always has, you know, said, listen, honey, God got this. I got you. I support you. Yeah. This is going to work out. And it makes my world a lot better because I waited for the one
for me, you know, let's just be real, gentlemen. We have options. We have options. Ladies, you have options. Everybody has options, but to be able to wait is to have patience actually signifies strength.
Mm.
To have patience and not rush in and not be desperate for
Yes.
but to have patience actually at the same time really shows strength of an individual to be able to say, hey, listen, because I understand, watch this, I understand that marriage is not a decision to be taken lightly.
Mm-hmm.
God himself does not even take it lightly. I mean, we can go through scripture and how even Jesus was talking about how at the beginning there was not even he hates divorce to the point that there was not even any reason for divorce.
Yes.
That at the beginning.
Yes.
But they asked Jesus, the Pharisees asked Jesus about divorce, and he said, because why did Moses give them the certificate of divorce? And Jesus said, because of the hardness of your hearts, he gave it to you. He knew that it wouldn't matter what he said, so he gave him the certificate of divorce. But I don't know who's on here. I know I see there's a couple people. I don't know. I can't tell you who it is because I don't know how to operate or to even, should I say, navigate. If there's a way to, I don't think there is.
Well, if you guys, who's ever on here,
if you could just say hello.
If you could just say hello, so we'll know that we're up and running properly.
Yeah, it's a couple of people on here that's been on here for a while, but we'll keep talking. It's no problem.
No problem whatsoever.
We'll keep up. If you have any questions about our subject, again, is we're talking about taking a do you or will you? If you're single, will you take your marriage vows seriously? And if you are married, do you take them seriously?
Yes.
I do understand that divorce is real. It is real. Mm-hmm. It is a fact of society. Mm-hmm. But this is why it's so important that I think too is the having counsel, having a mediator, a person who is not biased to the groom or the potential groom or to the potential bride. That they're not biased, but they have nothing to gain or anything to lose in counseling the potential couple, because at the end of the day, this decision is not only made between the man and the wife, the man and the woman, but it's also made between the man, the woman, and God. This is how it works. So to make a vow, I don't know why my phone keeps giving me, but to make a vow is very crucial. Making vows and then making vows, excuse me, and not keeping the vow. Promising a thing and not keeping it is a very thing that that's not good.
Yeah, and just to add to that, we're living in a time now where the divorce rate is really high. Every time basically you turn around, you're hearing about somebody is getting a divorce. I know over the last maybe couple of years, we've been hearing it, like, wow, people that are close to us, we know, some that we may not know. And it's just a shocker, it's like, wow, So the divorce rate is really high.
Yeah.
It's really high. And, going back to talking about the vows, that's what we thought this would be a good topic because, God, when it comes to the marital vows, that is a vow that God honors as well.
Yes.
And I think, a lot of times when we go into marriage, we don't take those vows as serious as we need to.
Absolutely.
Because, we end up, depending on the situation, depending on the case, we end up saying, you know what, I'm out of here. Because in some of the reasons that I've heard when it comes to, I'm divorcing my husband or my wife because I don't love them no more, or I done fell out of love, or they are not sexually appealing to me anymore, or the things that I've heard and the excuses and stuff. It's really heartbreaking. Because marriage and the covenant relationship is so much more than that. And also we have to also understand that marriage is work. It's not something that's just going to evolve to be something great without us putting the work into it.
Work.
Work. Yes, it's work. It's work, it's time, and it's patience.
Yes.
That's what marriage is, and it's compromise, and it's
majorly
being unselfish.
Yes.
It's all of that. It's all of that. Communication, which is one of the main things.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Communicating, talking, not shutting down, but being able to communicate and talk to each other about your dislikes and your likes, your concerns, your, whatever the conversations may be. It's so important that you have that open communication and that you're able to talk with your spouse.
Yeah.
But I've heard some really interesting, reasons why people are divorcing now.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And some of them, people would laugh at, but it's people are really getting divorced over some really minute things.
Yeah.
And the question in my mind that I will ask is, well, if you're getting divorced because you woke up and you looked at this person and all of a sudden you were not attracted to them anymore.
Wow.
In my mind, I'm thinking like you were never really interested in them from the beginning.
Not the whole them.
Not the whole them. Mm-hmm. You probably had some type of imagination of.
It might have been lust.
Or it could have been lust.
I mean, I'm just saying.
That's true. That's very true.
I mean, it could have been lust.
It could have been lust, or it could have been just, you know how people have an imagination of how marriage is, and every morning you're gonna wake up and look at this person. They're gonna be beautiful, and they're gonna look this way, and you wake up and this person is looking like, because they just, that's the way they sleep, but you never knew that.
Right.
And you looking at them and they like, and you like, oh
right.
no, that is not.
We can actually look. We can actually look our worst. We can actually look our worst while we sleep. Some people say, "Oh, I'm sure some of you guys probably told you like, oh, you look so beautiful while you sleeping." That's not always the case. Okay.
No, it's not. Because my husband. No.
There's some days you got to get up like, oh man, you got to straighten yourself out. You got to figure out what planet you're on when you wake up. All that kind of stuff. But anyway,
for the most part, he's a good sleeper. He don't look crazy for the most part. Me, on the other hand, I look crazy. And it took him to tell me how crazy I be looking sometimes.
Well, it's all fun, but
it isn't fun. I never took offense to you telling me I'm smelling something, when you sleep. And I just laugh because it's so funny to me. But there has been time where we were in the bed early in the morning or whatever. I'm still asleep, but he's awake. But then when I open my eyes, I see him staring at me, like looking at me. And I would be like,
that's kind of creepy though, but I get it. Yeah.
I would be like, oh my God, but then he would be like, you are so beautiful.
Ooh, did I lay it down? Did I lay it down?
He would be like, you are so beautiful. And in myself, I'm like, I look a hot mess. But evidently he saw beyond all of this. And he saw something beautiful.
You have to see the beauty past all of the light foundation. You have to see the beauty past the hair been done, the hair been set up and put in place, and the earrings and the nice glasses and all of these, whatever the aesthetics that we're accustomed to saying that it's wonderful to look at. So you have to be able, gentlemen and ladies, you have to be able to look past. You got to be
superficial.
Yeah, you got to look past the curls and then whatever the superficial stuff. Yeah. And really and fall in love with the reality
with a real person.
Yeah, with a real person. And I think a lot of times too, the reason why um, some marriages don't last because they paying homage to the fantasy than the reality.
Fantasy instead of reality.
It's fantasy instead of reality, and the fantasy is a vapor. It blows away in the wind, and reality sits there, and it's sitting there like a statue, looking right at you. It ain't going nowhere.
That's
like a tree,
good.
Like a tree rooted. It's like good luck and moving this.
That's good.
This is reality.
Yeah.
Fantasy is a smoke screen, but a vapor is like a rooted. A reality is like a rooted tree. It's not going anywhere. No. It's going to be right there looking at you. What are you going to do with reality? The reality is on your wedding day, whether you are married, been married, or going to be married. The reality is you are making vows.
Yeah.
And God expects us to keep them. All right. I want to read something. Deuteronomy 23 and 23. It says that I believe this is the NIV, and it says, "You shall be careful to perform what goes out from your lips, just as you have voluntarily vowed to the Lord your God what you have promised." There's another passage of scripture, maybe this it relates to the same, is that it's better to vow and it's better to vow and keep your promise than to vow and not pay. Mm-hmm. or not keep the promise.
Yeah.
Because divorce is very painful.
Yeah.
Because watch this, even though you may have gotten into the relationship for the wrong reason, because of your coming together and you're coming together even from a physical standpoint, there's a soul tie there. Mm-hmm. And so even if you had this, argument or whatever crazy reason you divorced, the reason why you divorced, mm-hmm. right? Whatever the reason, okay, just not say it ain't necessarily be crazy. I'm not saying that. I'm not going to tag it as one thing, but some of it's real, and whatever reason that tie being broken is where the pain comes. Yeah. Okay, because you have something invested into the relationship, whether your intent was a little off or whatever. You have, at the very least, a physical thing invested. And so there is a tearing away. Wow. That takes place. Wow. And one of the reasons why God hates divorce is because our marriage is supposed to mirror him. His image. He said, let us make man in our own image. So there was a unity even between the God, the Father, and the Son, and said, let us make man in our own image. And they come into, watch this, they came into agreement. Mm-hmm. Together. So we come into agreement to make men in our own image, and he created male and female, he created them, right? Yes. He created them. And so to mirror his image. So when it breaks his heart when he made us to be unified as his image, and then all of a sudden we decide to take his image and tear it apart. Mm. That's why it breaks his heart. Yeah. Marriage was never intended to be broken up. It was intended to be a long life covenant and to be an example to others. Yes. Of what unity looks like. What unity and what love looks like. Why? Because God is love. That's his word. Mm-hmm. So it was an intent that our love for each other will be a replication of him, because God is love. Hey, Britt. Hey, Britt. How are you? And so that was always God's intention. Yes, because every marriage, there are two people. There are two people who come together with differences. Yeah. Two different people coming together to be one. Yeah. Right? Coming together to be one, lock in lockstep. I understand. Listen. You can, if I can deal with you, if I can deal with your bad breath, and you can deal with my snaky feet. It sounds funny, but that's just true. And you got to be able to come together and deal with the differences and help each other Hey, Lisa, I see
Hey,
you.
Lisa.
And you got to be able to come together and understand that we have flaws, but we can put that together.
Yes.
For unity. Now, I when it comes to this, and please stop me when you want to interject if there's anything.
Oh no, I'm enjoying this. I mean, it's like, you know, what you're saying is it's like food for my soul. You know,
Amen.
You know how you read it,
Yeah.
You know, but the way that you're explaining it, how marriage is supposed to be God's image. That's how He created it. And I'm like, wow, that's so powerful.
Yeah.
And also that lets me know that's why the enemy, the devil, hates marriage so much.
Yeah.
Because it is purposed to be in God's image. God created it.
Yes.
In His image, marriage to be an example of His image and His love.
Absolutely.
That's why the enemy hated. And that's why he will do and try everything in his power to tear it apart. To tear it apart and a very transparent moment. Hey, Joe. There has been many times the enemy has tried to rip us apart.
Yeah.
Try to rip us apart many times. But I'm so grateful that, because of the fact that we love God and God is the head of our marriage, He's the center of our marriage, and He's the end of our marriage.
Say it again.
God is the head of our marriage.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the center of our marriage, and He's at the end of our marriage.
Woo.
So He's at the top, in the middle, and at the bottom.
Wow.
So there's nothing the enemy can do with Him being at the top, in the middle, and the bottom.
Wow.
We are totally sealed and locked in.
Yeah.
God has sealed us and locked us in.
Yeah.
He sealed us and locked us in.
Yeah. That's good. I mean, that's solid. God is at the head of our marriage. He's in the midst or the center of our marriage, and He's at the end. He is the author and the finisher. Wow. I like that. Now, Lisa, I saw it. You said, what are your thoughts on the TV show Love at First Sight? I watched it for the first time and was shocked. I've never seen the show. So,
you know what? I've never seen the show.
Do you know about the show?
I know about the show.
Okay.
And I've been so curious. I've seen the commercials and stuff, and I've been really curious. I'm like, this is interesting. It is really interesting how yeah, that's really interesting.
Lisa, maybe you can share with us. Y'all I'm drinking a lot of water because I'm trying to run my sinuses out of my body. It's driving me bananas right now, and I can't be like this. But what if anybody that knows about the show, what's shocking about it? Because I mean, first of all, the title "Love at First Sight." I don't know.
Well, I do know. This is what I know about the show, if I'm not mistaken. And Lady Lisa, please help us out here. But from my understanding, the show is like you don't know this person, and meet for the first time, get married on the spot. Yes. Woo.
Yeah.
Oh, what is your takes?
If the Jews I don't even think the Jews even get married that fast.
No.
And I'm talking about God's chosen.
No.
I don't think they even get married.
So it's almost like you don't know nothing about this person.
Right. And especially well, I mean, you really don't know. You can't. I mean, you can't possibly know.
No.
First time. No. I mean that. Yikes.
That's scary.
It's like they are trying to make the concept of marriage be driven by science. So they take a private profile of person and match them to the likelihood of them being. Yeah.
That's deep.
That doesn't work.
No.
That does not work.
That's almost to me. That's almost like taking marriage as a joke. Kind of almost what we've been talking about. About the marital vows and stuff. It's almost taking it for a joke.
Wow.
Because then if you don't like this person and you find out that you're not compatible in any way, then what?
And you guys could make me research this show, because I would be intrigued on how do they come up with matching profiles. In other words, what are the elements? What are the variables? What is the criteria to matchmake like that? I mean, even websites, there are Christian websites, there are matchmaking websites. To a certain degree, even they spend time dating and have a conversation, communication, at the very least.
You see what Lisa said?
I like that.
Yes.
People think marriage is a bed of roses and they forget about the
thorns.
Woo! Hey, that's good. That's good, Lady Lisa. That
is so good.
That is wow. Can I use that and pay you later? That is good. That is really good. People think marriage is a bed of roses, but they forget about wow. Hey, Ricky, what's going on?
Now, but look, I know I'm about to be a little deep, but look, the roses have thorns on them.
Yes.
So, what do you think is the purpose of the thorns on that rose? I don't know. Just a thought.
It's got to be a scientific purpose for that. From a scientific purpose,
I'm sure it is.
And it has a correlation that we all need to know. She said to remind you of the tough times. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. From a relationship standpoint, yes.
Because even though you're giving a rose and you're presenting, roses, women love roses. Most women love roses. Maybe not all women. But my husband have given me roses. And if I'm not careful with that rose, the thorn will prick my finger. If I'm not careful with putting it in a vase and all of that thorn would prick my finger. And I guess that is to remind you, delicate, but yet, well, at least what she say?
If you snip them at the root, they won't grow back. Wow.
That's good. If you snip the roses at the root, it will not grow back. But I'm gonna study them roses, the little thorns on them, because that's something.
That was good.
That was really good. I love it.
That was really good. I like that.
The revelation of the rose and the thorn.
We'd like to go on and dig a little deeper.
Dig deeper.
Love, Ricky said, love can hurt. I would say that I don't know. Love. I won't say love can hurt. But the hurt can make your love deeper if you know how to process the hurt.
Yeah.
Love in itself should not hurt, but the hurt that's inevitable because of our human frailties can be a benefactor, or can be beneficial to deepening our love if we know how to process the hurt. You understand what I'm saying? In order to make things like roses and other plant life to be more, to grow more, there's a thing that we're all familiar with, and it's called fertilizer, that is placed in the dirt, and those beautiful roses and plants are placed in that in that dirt, and it stinks to the high heavens. But it's very necessary. It is very necessary to growing properly.
Yeah.
Oh, I would that a rose could be just, or a plant can be just a seed can just be planted in water, and then it just evolve out of the freshness of water. But unfortunately, God did not design any such thing to be of at least of the plant life to grow just out of
the freshness of the
water, right? Even though water is necessary,
definitely,
but it is not the exclusive element to growth. Yeah. I wish it was like that in life, but it's not. Life is full of fertilizer.
You need the stinky.
You need the stink stuff.
You need the bad, and you need the good, and you mix it all together.
It's all together. All things, and we know that all things are working together for the good of them that love God and call to His purpose. And so, if we're expected to grow not only in spiritual things, but even in our marriages, in our relationships, we have to understand that love, watch this, has to overcome the fertilizer of our life. There's some things that in 23 years of marriage that we've been through together that just absolutely stinks. There's some things. Oh yeah. There's some things that I drug into my marriage early, and it stunk. And, you know, I shared it with my wife, and you know what, my wife, she loved me right through the stinkiness. She did. Loved me right through it. This lady is some kind of woman. You can't. There's nobody that can replace her. So it just that's what it is. And I think I said in one of the episodes, I've learned love even more through her actions. Right? I learned love through her actions. And she just knows the rose is beautiful to the eye, but if you pull it up, when you pull it up out of the dirt, you'll start to see. And so the fertilizer and the dirt is necessary, yes, for our growth. And but the rose ends up being a beautiful flower, among other beautiful things that God has created, but it comes out of the, isn't funny that even us, we came out of the dirt.
Came out of the dirt.
He didn't create it. We wasn't no sea monster that come out of the water or whatever, you know what I'm saying? He didn't create us out of the water, but He created us out of the dust. It's amazing that He used dirt to create us. And then He breathes into us life. And so God is watering us every day if we let Him do it.
Every day.
In our relationships, in our marriages, and you know, He's watering us every day, but He's watering us in the midst of our mess that we're trying to, you know, kind of navigate through. And
because the thing about the water is so important is because if the foundation becomes dry, it'll crack.
Yeah.
So the water is needed to keep it moist, to keep it living, to keep the roots living, and continuing to produce what needs to be produced in that marriage. You know, the water, you know, it's important.
Right.
The foundation, you know, we need that water.
Right.
That water represents life. You know.
Here's another reason why God hates marriage. I mean, He hates divorce. When you come together in a relationship, you don't know when you first get married. You're still talking about wedding vows being taken seriously. Because if we take our wedding vows seriously, then longevity is inevitable until death do us part. The longevity of a relationship is inevitable. But when you first get married, you have aspirations and things that you think that you're going to do and whatever. But God knows, watch this, what He intends to produce from you.
Right.
Ultimately. And it may not always be kids, but it may be something. It may be a ministry. It may be an example before many of your love and your relationship and your gifting coming together in unity and blessing hundreds to thousands of people. You just never know. But God is trying to produce something out of you. And when you break that in the middle of the journey in the middle of your growth, in the middle of Well, I don't like the fertilizer, so I'm coming up out of the dirt. And when you do that, you have what you have done is you have stopped the production of God in your life, in your relationship. What could have been has been ceased, has been stopped because you decided
that's good
that we're going to stop what God intended to produce through us. That's why he hates it, because remember, even I'm going to use this as a principle, it's still the same principle. Psalms 133, how good and pleasant it is for brothers to dwell together in unity. And it goes to describe, but then it's the verse 5, I believe, or the last verse of that chapter, which is like verse 5 or 6. For it is there I command the blessing. Where the unity is where he commands the blessing. So you are, perhaps because you decide you will divorce for some frivolous reason, you are stopping the blessing that could have been manifested. I know it sounds, hard for some, but the reality is God wants to produce something in us. Yeah. We are better together than we are apart. I can say that for us. We're better together. It was not good for me to be alone. Okay, that's just the reality. And so God prepared me or helped me. She has my rib, by the way. She still has my rib.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need you to give that back.
I still have it.
I'm gonna need you to give that back.
No, you can't.
Put some barbecue sauce on it. What are your thoughts about traditional and non-traditional wedding vows? For example, people that write their own vows. Now, I believe that our traditional vows that you may or may not have heard me quote, I take thee blah blah to be my lawful wedded wife or husband, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and health, forsaking all others, as long as we both should live, to honor and obey. Right? And that's always the one that some people just gonna say, I'm gonna take that out. But I believe that those vows, I believe, and this is Jason speaking, I believe those vows were developed out of God's desire and written word of God, right? So they were worded to the point that it correlates with the word of God. Now, I don't know if I have an issue with non-traditional wedding vows, except for if you leave stuff out that God intended for the couple to have that needs to be. I mean, you need to forsake all others as long as you both shall live, right? The spouse being sick is not a reason to divorce. Right. Having a financial, economical challenge is not a reason to divorce. I
think that could possibly be the potential challenge when people do their own vows, create their own vows, because they're prone to customizing it for what they think and how they feel it should be. And that can be, somewhat of a challenge. But people do it all the time. People, and I've heard some beautiful vow exchange for those that have written their own, and they put in there, some of the same things of the original
and some
vows.
Yeah.
So that's the danger is some people customize it to their own personal instead of operating in it, doing it the way God would have ordained for it.
And some of it, when you do that, this is Jason talking. When you do that, what actually happens as you are creating a leverage for potential future derailment. So you come back and say, "Well, I didn't say for a rich or a poor. I told you if we haven't made no money, I'm sorry, I'm out of here." So you leave stuff out so you can have something to pull on, just in case. It's kind of like a damage control, backup plan.
Yeah.
And but a covenant is a covenant. Marriage is honorable for God, before God. The marriage between the man and woman is honorable, and
it's like an exit plan.
Yeah, that's a better word.
I think
it's an exit plan.
People have exit plans when they get married. They have, I think, honestly, and this is just my opinion. I think now, some people, not all people, but some people in their minds already have in their minds, well, if this don't work out, I already know I could do blah, 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 blah. It's kind of like an exit plan.
Yeah.
And
yep.
I don't think that's a good mindset going into marriage, because, when me and Jason, first got married or whatever, my mindset was we did not marry to divorce.
Nope.
So that was, when I tell you, etched in stone in my head and in my heart, I was like, I did not marry to get divorced. So whatever it took for us to work through our issues, that's what we did.
Yeah.
We we allowed God to do the work in us, and we did the work, and and that was it. We didn't have an exit plan. It wasn't like, well, if you ain't gonna do this and it ain't gonna do that, I'm going back to my mama's house. My mama's there for me, and I know my mama's gonna let me in, and I'm gonna be good to go.
Right.
No, it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that.
Yeah, and if you got to make that kind of statement out the gate, that you probably shouldn't get married. Talking to my singles who be maybe watching by live or watching live, or eventually will watch this this YouTube video. If you have to say that, and you already kind of lean in, and you're not necessarily pressing forward your weight into the relationship, if you're not leaning towards the covenant and the clinging to. But you kind of back it up. You kind of on your heels because I go back to mama, I go back to my parents or whatever. Then you probably are not qualified or ready to be married.
Make that
yeah
commitment.
No,
now we do understand that there are some situations, where there is abuse and where there is some other situations and stuff going on. That is exceptional.
Right.
When it's that, because God would not have you in an abusive relationship. He wouldn't want that for your life, and and stuff. So
yeah. Now, with that being said, we have to deal with the elephant in the room. Now, there are exceptions to the rule, right? And I'm hoping that perhaps some of my colleagues also will go ahead. But I cannot. I'll be remiss if I did not deal, because the subject was do you take or will you take your marriage vows seriously? And so in our vows, in the traditional vows that Brittany had mentioned, and we had mentioned before, for better, for worse, for richer, for sickness and health, and forsaking all others. Now that part is in there in our traditional vows. So now understand this is that God never intended for marriage to be broken. Never. That was never the thing at the beginning. And so I'm going to read you something from the Word of God that took place here, and it's Mark chapter 10. You can take a note of it, verses 1 through 12. I'm just reading and see where we get here. And it says, I believe this is the NIV. I'm not sure if it's NIV or ESV because I copied it on another page, so I don't have to be jumping all over the place doing this. Hey, what's up, Alicia?
Hey, Alicia.
Hey, good to see you. And so it says, and he left there and he went to the region of Judea, talking about Jesus. And beyond the Jordan, crowds gathered to him again and again, as was his custom, he taught them. And Pharisees came up in order to test him. They asked him, "Is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife?" He answered them, "What did Moses command you?" They said, the Pharisees, Moses allowed a man to write a certificate of divorce and to send her away. Now, this is what Jesus said after that he says, and Jesus said, because of your hardness of heart, he wrote you this commandment. He wrote it because of your hardness. He knew that you weren't going to hear anything he said. So Moses wrote you this commandment. But this is what he says. But from the beginning of creation, God made them male and female. So in other words, what he was saying, he made the covenant between male and female. There was no escape clause. Then Jesus goes on to say, therefore a man should leave his father and mother and hold fast, or you should see in King James Version, cling to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. One flesh. What therefore God has joined together, let no man separate or tear asunder, as you will see. And then, but now let's continue on, because I want to bring clarity to the whole situation. All right. So it goes on to verse 10, and he said, and in the house, the disciples asked him again about this matter. They weren't satisfied. So he says, whoever divorces his wife and marries another, watch this. This way it always gets sticky. He said, whoever divorces his wife and marries another commits adultery against her. And if she divorces her husband and marries another, she commits adultery. Now, Mark records this. This is why the Synoptic Gospels, and understand when I say Synoptic Gospels, that is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Matthew, Mark, and Luke, they record most or close to 90 to 95% of the events. But some Gospels are more detailed in the events that took place, not only by gesture, action, but also verbally. And so there are some books who give more detail as to what takes place. So Matthew picks up the same situation in Matthew chapter 19 and 9. He said, as we continue to talk about the exception to the rule, Jesus says this in Matthew, says, and I say unto you, whoever divorces his wife except for sexual immorality and marries another commits adultery. So he's bringing clarity to the situation. In other words, he's saying, if you marry for any other reason divorce for any other reason outside of that, and I'm going to just cut you loose. Because watch this, love conquers all. Why is Jesus so hard on this? Tell you why. It's pretty simple if we really go back and think. While we was doing our dirt, he died for us. Yes. And he tells the man, he says, husbands, love your wife as Christ loves the church and gave himself for it. I said this in one of the episodes. My wife is my first church. Before I pastor any other congregation, any other daughters and sons and laity of the people of God, this is my first church. I'm supposed to love her even as Christ, regardless of what flaw she has. And I said, watch this, regardless of what flaw she has, because I'm in covenant with her. Yes. I am to cleave to her and allow the love of God to flow through me and say, I'm going to love you anyway, and we're going to make this work. Now, most folks don't want to hear that because we're so caught in our emotions. And then if you don't have a relationship with God, you chances are you're not going to make it anyway. Because your relationship, because if you say that your relationship is the covenant of marriage is between the man, the woman, and God. But if your relationship with God is distant, now you left with fighting now you're left with trying to make it work between just the two, and it's actually three involved. Yes. The only threesome you should be having, and don't let the minds get crazy, but the only threesome is the covenant between the man, the woman, and God. Relationship. Triune relationship. No in-betweens. Right. Triune relationship. And so when infidelity takes place, it's a breach. Yes. In a relationship with God. and it becomes a wedge
between the marriage.
Right. Mm-hmm. And if you do not include, if you listen, I'm going to say this. Watch this. Even if infidelity comes into the play, it is so possible with the help of God to make it through. Mm-hmm. But it's not possible if you leave God out.
Yep.
It is no way possible you can make it through if you leave God out. And so God expects, he desires for love to conquer all of it. But Jesus says here, because he knew that Moses gave them the certificate of divorce because of the hardness of their heart. They was not going to let his love shine through or push through all the adversity, even though Jesus was letting his love shine through all of our crap, adversity. Well, adversity. He had more adversity than we could ever imagine. Our stuff is light affliction. Mm-hmm. Okay, the stuff that we dealing with is light compared to what Jesus did. And so he says, okay, whoever divorces his wife except for sexual immorality and marries another commits adultery. So he now gives a reason if you can't you can't work through it, and he gives you that leeway to leave and then go ahead and marry. All right. But I know couples who have made it through it.
Oh yeah.
Who have, made it through it. And watch this. They became strong because they realized that they not only broke each other's heart, but they broke the heart of God, and they were concerned. Why do you think David kept on coming back? Because he had God's heart. Mm-hmm. He had the heart of God, regardless of what he did. Man, he had Uriah killed
one of his soldiers.
Yeah.
One of his lead
Put him at the front, just so he can have Bathsheba. Mm-hmm. Killed the Bible calls him the ewe lamb. Had him killed, and Nathan picked it up. God told Nathan, and Nathan went and dealt with the situation. And so, what I'm saying to you is possible. Mm-hmm. Because if Christ did it for us in the midst of our junk, we can do it too. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
And that's where forgiveness is becomes a greater part. You know, Christ has to forgive us, and he has forgiven us, you know, for so much. Yeah. For the sins that we commit every day. Yeah. For the things that we do that's against him every day. Mm-hmm. Even before he died for us, even before the foundation of the world. He chose to lay down his life for people that he knew that was going to reject him. Mm-hmm. You know, that he knew, you know, was not going to serve him and do the things that, you know, was not going to love him. Yeah. You know, Christ gave his life. So if he did that, you know, when it comes to those areas of where we've been hurt in our, you know, relationships and things have occurred, if Christ can forgive the heinous death that he went through, we can forgive
because of us, right?
You know, the death that he went through because of us, we can forgive.
Absolutely,
we can forgive. Your heart can be repaired. Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes you might think like, oh, this is the worst. You know, this is the worst thing that could have ever experienced in my marriage. Or, you know, this is just it. This is, you know. But if you have two people that are willing to repent to God and that are willing to repent to each other and turn from that thing and not go back to it, but turn from it and move forward.
That needs to be said.
In the relationship. Move forward in your relationship with God and each other. You know, God can work in that type of repentant heart.
Yes.
You know, he can work and he can restore your marriage greater and better than it was before.
Absolutely.
But it takes two people with a repentant heart
Mm.
It takes two people that are willing to forgive and not hold that person captive to what they've done.
Ooh.
But truly forgive in the heart, and that takes time. The trust and all of that will take time. But if you start with the forgiveness piece,
very. Oh my goodness,
that is so very important.
Yeah.
And it can be done, but it all depends on your heart, your heart, and where your heart posture towards God. That's why I always told my husband from the very beginning. I would say, honey, I love you, but I love God more, because it's God that's going to keep me loving him in the way that I need to love him, in the way that I need to show love for him. It's going to be God.
Yeah.
Because in my own self, I can't do it. In my own strength, I cannot. There has been times where I did not want to. I'm like, oh, I'm done. I'm good. I'm tired. I'm this. I'm that. But because of the love of God, this, that I have for God, the love that I have for God, and then the love that I have for my husband, all of that working together, God would just, give me the strength that I need. And I'm sure God have given him the strength that he need, for us to continue on and continue to work things through in the marriage. It's a continual work. It never gets to the point where you're never learning. You're never learning. When it comes to marriage, you're always learning. You should always be improving. You should always be, moving forward. And that's the joy I love about marriage, because you're always learning. So that is the joy in marriage, to the discovery.
What you're talking about, right? I mean, it's an ongoing discovery, it's an ongoing journey, always learning.
Yeah.
And listen, we're glad you guys came on tonight.
Yes,
and enjoy.
We are.
We're glad it's our first one on YouTube Live, and we're glad you came.
Yes.
Listen, tell your families, tell your friends, please let them know, share this, that Jay and La Live is now on YouTube.
Yes.
We want to keep this on YouTube, and this is the medium that we want to use in sharing with all of you. We're going to we continue to ask you if you have any questions or a potential subject matter you want to talk about. You want to make sure you go to jnlive@gmail.com, and I'll type it in here right now. jnlive at gmail.com, and you want to go ahead and inbox your questions that you may have for JNLive, or even potential subject matters. We're going to be on here every Monday at 8 p.m.
Yes.
We want to also be considerate of our time with you. We don't want to keep you all night, but we want you to always be willing to come back and join with us. And so we want to be more mindful. We want to kind of, we learn as we go, right?
Yes.
We learn as we go. We're still learning. And so we learn as we go. So we want to appeal to your time and the rest that you may need. Because me and my wife, we kind of like night hawks.
Yes.
We're always working, but we're potential
up.
millionaires. So we work on time. So we're potential millionaires. So we don't really sleep that much, because we're thinking about, we got dreams and aspirations that we try to make reality.
Yes.
Hello.
So
but actually we're millionaires in the making. So that's how I look at it. And nobody can take that from us. Nobody but us. Right. And so we are most grateful to have all of you. Please go ahead and share. When this link comes up, or this YouTube link comes up, we want to make sure you go ahead and share the link. Yes. And let people know, and over in Facebook world, and Instagram world, over in Twitter world, that we are over here. JN Smith is over here in YouTube, and we're sharing. And so there were some other things we will share, not only in the show, but there's sometimes you may see us out of town. We're going to share sometimes with you. We'll be right here. We'll be right here on YouTube saying hello to our family, and we love meeting new people. So please,
yes, we do.
Go ahead and share that. And for those of you who may be just coming on, certainly go back and check it out. We shared a few things on here. This is our first time on YouTube, and we're going to make this better. And we're going to get better, 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 and better, and better, and better. And there's no such thing as more better, but we're going to be more better. So, but we're going to be better. And so, and we appreciate you guys coming on and supporting those who are on here.
Yes.
And so we're going to be signing off pretty soon. If anybody have any questions, any final words, Salah, that you may have. But so we do take our vows and our wedding vows seriously.
Yes,
we are approaching. I am approaching my 44th birthday this month on the 22nd, and I'm happy. And I was just sitting here thinking, as my wife was talking, I was actually born for her. Oh. And God let me be born at a certain time so that I can meet my favor when I need to. Oh, so I was just sitting thinking, I said, that's amazing. And so I'm happy about life. I'm happy about having my wife. She is and will be the mother of my children. She will be my continual favor. She is my she is my intercessor. She is my number one supporter and fan. Number one. And that's her spot. And so, and I cherish her as the gift. I didn't always cherish my wife in the beginning. I said it in episode 1. So for those of you who want to catch up, on these episodes, tell your friends and family, catch up on the episodes. You can watch at least the first 4. The rest of there's 6 other episodes before this one that will be up for you to enjoy. But go ahead and check out on YouTube. Mm-hmm. So, and you want to catch up and check out what's going on with Jay and Live. You want to go ahead and do that. And we certainly appreciate all of you who are on. Yes. Listen, we love you guys, and we hope to catch you guys later and next Monday, same time. Next Monday, 8 p.m. We're going to be right here live on YouTube. So let your people know in other medias, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and any others that I may not be mentioning right now. Let them know to go ahead and get on here, like it, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so that you know that Jay and Live will be on and ready to go. And we got something else to talk about. We're going to laugh. We're going to cry. We're going to deal with some real stuff. Real stuff. And we're not sending any chasers. When we say it, once it's said, we're not chasing it down. It is real. And so, and I think people are looking for reality. And we're going to give you the real. We're going to give you what's going on, what's really going on. Because we're real people. Yeah, we're just real people. We're real people. Yeah. You know, we're real people that love a real God. Yeah. That's what we are. That's living. That's alive today. That's alive today. Yeah, that's good. That's good. So until next time, guys, I am Jay, and this is La. And we're going to continue to declare that there's nothing missing, nothing lacking, and we're wanting for nothing. Love you guys. Bless you. See you later.